Alright, so as you can see, I finally figured out the whole vertical or horizontal format. For the love of God, I recorded like the first, I don't know, 7 or 8, videos that I was going to use for a podcast, and not realizing that I had them all in vertical format. So I apologize, those of you that have been watching the first like 7 videos. Turn the fucking camera around, dummy. I know, I'm working on it. So anyways, I'm finally figuring out this whole thing. So today I wanted to talk about hiring. For me, when I first started out, I realized that I was inundated with work very quickly, and working all hours every single day kills you after a while. So very quickly, I figured out I needed help. And I can do a lot, but when you're doing like wire pulls, or when you schedule like 4 jobs in one day, in order for you to get all those jobs done quickly and efficiently, so where you're not late for your next appointment and then even later for the next one, or if you forget materials, then something happens and it bumps everything back. So like having an extra guy to be able to keep going while you're going helps tremendously. So my big thing was, like, how do I know when to hire? I've never paid somebody full time to help me. I've always had helpers that have just, on a Saturday, I've gotten like 3 of my buddies that I used to work with that would come out and they'd help me rough something in. And then a few months later, they'd come through and help me trim out. But this is like every single day paying somebody and them getting a check every week. And so it's recurring money coming out of your bank constantly. So that worried me a little bit. I thought that I had to have like $1 million in the bank before I could hire anybody, and that just wasn't the case. So what I did is I made sure that I had 10 grand in my bank account, and I wasn't thinking about, like 6 months worth of total expenses or anything like that, I guess, that advanced. I probably should have, but for me, the $10,000 figure worked. I had 10 grand in the bank account. I hired on a guy that I knew would work out, and I had seen him work. I know that he just kind of hit that stage in his life where he's settling down. He's got a girl that he's serious about. He's got a kid, and he's coming up to 30 years old. So like he's finally just not making stupid decisions, and like we all have. But he's not looking for something that he can just jump here, jump there, and kind of flip-flopping around in his life. Like he's showing signs of having stability, and that he's going to stick around and actually wants to learn a craft. And so I was like, okay, this is probably a good guy to make that leap on. I didn't want to hire a green guy that had never wore tools before. I didn't want to be slowed down every single day having to train somebody. I wanted somebody with a few years experience but it's not quite a journeyman, because I thought it was going to be hard enough just paying third-year helper wages. I didn't want to try having a full-time journeyman as my first hire and trying to cover all those wages. So I made the call to hire somebody that was 3 years in with $10,000 in the bank, and that actually worked out really well. When I was working by myself, it was just like money, couple bills, money. The bank account just grew because I wasn't taking anything out of the bank. I had Emily still working a job, and so I didn't ever have to take any money out of our bank, out of the business account. So then having my first helper, it got me used to paying a certain amount every single week, and I was able to, after 2 or 3 months, I know exactly where I'm going to be at financially. And your bank account starts kind of doing this a lot, just having somebody that you constantly have to pay out. But the amount of work that you're able to get done, having a guy that's a few years in, that's experienced, that wants to learn, that likes to hustle and do really good work, and that's reliable, man, it's a game changer. Like, you could actually get 3 or 4 jobs done in a day, and you're not have to hustle and grind to just bust ass to get things done by 10 o'clock at night. You can work a regular 8-hour day and get just as much done. I kind of weigh the advantage and disadvantage of not having a journeyman right now. It'd be really nice for me if I had, you know, a 10-year guy that can wire houses in his sleep and that can do a little bit of commercial service work and just knows a little bit here and there, so I can sit back and do a lot of the estimating and going and meeting with customers and getting jobs and doing all that. Because right now I'm still having to do all the work with a helper. And so, you know, I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, get out or on job site, or you know, I'm at the shop like 6:30, trying to get all the materials together, get everybody lined up, and or all the jobs lined up, and then we're at a job by 7:30. So we start working nonstop pretty much until like 5 or 6, and at that point, like, I'm dead tired, but I still have to go home. I still have to do all the estimating. There's like 5 to 6 estimates every single night that I have to do. There's emails, there's customers' calls that I've had to get back to about certain things. There's ordering materials and going and picking up materials for the next few days. Like, there's just a lot of stuff to do. Plus, Emily will have like 10 different questions, you know, with dealing with the city of Austin or this permit or that. And so I'm up till 10 or 11 o'clock every night. But if I had a journeyman, I feel like I could do a lot of that stuff during the day. So my next thing is trying to figure out when I can hire on a journeyman. I've been told that, you know, anybody that you hire, you should have about 6 months of all of your expenses, plus that journeyman's wages, already figured into those expenses. So that's a decent chunk of change to have sitting in the bank account before you pull the trigger. And the other thing that I've been on the fence about is whether or not I should have a company truck ready for that guy. I've worked tons of jobs where I had to drive my own personal vehicle and I didn't get reimbursed gas, but I knew that it was a good enough opportunity that I just did it. And there were many other people for that company that were fine with it. And I think it's just, if your boss takes care of you and it's a killer place to work and you really like what you're doing and you feel appreciated and there's room to grow, you'll be flexible on stuff like that. If somebody's going to refuse working for me because I don't have a company truck, I understand. I mean, I'm empathetic to that completely, but they're not the guy for me. You know, I want to have somebody that's willing to kind of grind a little bit and help me grow, because I will take care of him, absolutely, or her. So my next move is I want to try to get 20 grand saved, you know, 20 to 25 grand. I feel like if I can just see that sitting in the bank account, then I can pull the trigger and hire a journeyman. So I'd have a journeyman, trained helper, and myself. And that way I can kind of do all of this work up in the front and let them just, you know, just keep them busy, so I'm out front doing everything. And then my next goal after I get that journeyman is to get a truck. And I would love to have a company truck that they can drive in. That way they're not hauling materials with their trucks. They're not putting all the gas or the mileage on. I'm not having to help fix their trucks, you know, or their personal vehicles. Plus they're not whittling out their paychecks every single week because they're having to pay for gas. So that's my next goal. Anyways, that was So anyways, hiring a guy seems to be that there's like a right way or a right time to do it and a wrong time to do it. For me, the journeyman thing is a little bit easier decision to make. I just need to make sure I've got enough money, because the one thing I don't want to do is hire a guy and in 4 weeks all of that money just disappeared from my bank account because of something I wasn't thinking about, or some big job came up, or, you know, just something happened. I don't want to be put under that quickly. So I know having a journeyman, having a trained guy that doesn't have to be like babysat through every single little thing, is going to be an investment. It's not just hiring a guy as a helper, it's hiring a money earner. You know, it's like duplicating myself, because that guy is able to be independent and bring money into the company. So it's one of the most expensive bills I'm going to have, but it's also probably one of the only bills that I'm going to have that's actually going to be making me money back, and more money than I'm going to be paying out, hopefully. So that's it. That's all I've got. I've been told a lot of things, as well as when to hire and how much money to have, but also how many people to hire. So I've been hearing a lot of things in our Facebook groups, old guys that I've worked for. A lot of them say, look, if you can maintain like 3 field guys, anywhere from like 3 guys in the field period to 3 journeymen, 3 helpers, you know, like 3 crews. If you can maintain 3 crews, 3 company trucks, whatever, just keep it that size. Maybe somebody in the office answering phones or whatever, but if you can maintain that really small size, that seems to be the place where you make the most money, you make more margin, and it's less of a headache trying to keep up with everything. If you've got 150 guys, you're going to be up to your teeth in work and trying to keep up, you know, with everything that they're doing. Plus, you're not going to be profiting as much. Your profit margins are going to go way down. So I don't think that I ever want to get that big. I think I just want to have a few key guys and make sure that they're really well trained, really well paid, and that we do killer work. And I think that that's enough. Now, I may completely eat this shit, you know, in 5 years when I realize, like, oh, now I can get a whole couple of bucket truck crews and just run bucket trucks, and then have some resi guys that all they do is resi, and then have some service trucks out there and all they do is service work. You know, I don't know, man. I'm kind of feeling this as I go. I just know what I've seen, and it almost seems like when you get too big, everything just hits the shitter. You're chasing money constantly, barely able to make any money. It's hard to keep up with guys because you're hiring so many people that you don't really have the time to sit and make sure every single one of them is a really good guy, you know, and is really well trained and everything. So a lot of things just kind of slip through the cracks. A lot of companies have employees that are pissed off at the company. They don't appreciate the company. They treat the company trucks bad. They don't give a shit about the customers. So I don't ever want to get to that point. Like, I'd like it to be to the point where I can still kind of act as superintendent and have 3 crews of guys out there doing the work. And that way I can still go out and get all of these jobs ready and go, you know, lay some other jobs out. So when they can just keep moving the whole time. And that way I'm not a desk jockey, you know, just sitting there doing paperwork and own the company. I want to actually be out in the field, but I've realized that my strength in the field is not necessarily me turning the screwdrivers and me, you know, like, I'm really fast when I need to be fast. I'm really thorough and clean when I need to be. I know how to ramp up and how to back down, but I really like leading guys. I like having a crew of guys and lining them all out, giving them the next, you know, couple of pieces to do. So I think that that's like where my strength is. I would like to actually be the superintendent for the company and let some other guy sit and do all the estimates. It would be so cool. But I know that's probably dreaming bigger than I need to be dreaming. And just to let me be a little bit more lazy and not have to work so hard. So let me know what you guys think. If you've had some experiences that are completely opposite of what I've been saying, if you think that I should do something a different way, if you know a better way to be doing things, please let me know. Leave some comments below, get a hold of me. You know, I'm here to grow, I'm here to learn, and hopefully what I want to use all these videos for is in 5 to 10 years, maybe there's a kid just like me that's 30 years old that's starting his own company, and at least when he goes to YouTube to see, when should I hire? You know, he comes across this video and he sees something and he sees all the comments below and he's like, okay, this guy was dead fucking wrong. I'm not going to do it this way. Or this guy was like absolutely right. I'm going to do it this way. But hopefully, like, years down the line, all of these videos, this podcast, this YouTube channel, the Journey to Master website, like Facebook groups, all of it, I hope just helps some people in the future that don't know what to do, because we're going into a whole new era of business right now. And it is social media heavy. I mean, the internet is not the internet anymore. You don't just go online and you go to websites. Everybody's using this damn phone. This is the internet now. And there's a whole different way of doing business that's based off around this device here. And I think that incorporating that into your business and like being modern and understanding how the current market views the world and where your customers' attention is at and what your customers are capable of doing with word of mouth. You know, nowadays word of mouth is global. So instead of me just telling Billy Bob next door, yeah, man, that plumber that came over the other day was a shitbag, you know, and then it just stopping there, or maybe him telling one of his friends. With mobile, you can write a review about somebody and instantly millions of people can see it all over the damn place. So like, it's the most transparent kind of business we've ever been through. And I think it's awesome because it weeds out the douchebags and it lets the cream rise to the top. It lets the cream rise to the top. So just for younger guys that are going to be coming into this, you know, their world's probably going to be a little bit different, but at least this might give them a basis of where to start, and at least one guy's story along the way of how he did it, he being me. And I hope it helps. I just hope it helps some people. That's all. Have a good day, guys.